Today we're talking about what it's like to be a boss.
A boss.
You like that? The boss. Boss. Every time
Like
I
a
think of that,
boss.
all I can think of is Andy Samberg. Like a boss.
Oh gosh, what's the name of their band? Can't think.
Lonely
Island. Yeah.
Yeah, when they did what's that song? We always quote I don't know if it's an SNL skit or if it's a Lonely Island song specifically, where she's like, my girlfriend said, hey, it's your dad. And I'm like, no, that's not my dad. That's a cell phone. So I threw it on the ground.
Yeah. I think that's one of their digital shorts that Andy
On
Samberg
SNL.
did. Yeah, on SNL.
But
classic.
I always mix that up. So good. He's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah.
He gets obnoxious after a while. It's kind of like, this might not be popular opinion, but Jim Carrey, he annoys me. Like as a kid, I loved his movies. Ace Ventura, all of them were like.
I never could get into the Ace Ventura movies ever.
But as a kid, right? And Dumb and Dumber, all those were great.
Dumb and Dumber I loved, yeah.
As I've gotten older, it's super dumb. Like it's obnoxiously over the top. Like
yeah.
Now, like I like John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell. That duo, I could watch it all day long. They're great. They're so good. In
fact, isn't that what you have on your TV when it's not a Hustle Machine logo? You're just watching Step Brothers all day.
Step Brothers is on in the background. Got them on my headphones and just let it roll. That's what I do.
Nice.
That's not true.
So,
boss. Yes,
you're a boss.
Yeah, we're talking about
boss. What's it like to be a boss?
Well, what's that quote from The Office? Where he says, "I wanted, I always wanted to be a boss. Like boss, the term boss used to be cool. Like that's so boss, man. Those jeans are boss, man. Now it's like it got like a negative connotation to it, and I don't like it. So we're specifically talking about being your own boss.
Yes.
But before we get into the topic, I'm Zach. This is Jason.
Ew.
We are co-hosts of Hustle Machine. We are also co-owners of Market House, a marketing and website development company. Been running marketing and website development for over 20 years. And now we are in our hustle that we had for a long time. We're reshaping the word hustle to make it be defined something different than our Western culture. So today, as we get into talking about boss, being your own boss, what it's like, it kind of connects to that whole theme. We have the hustle culture theme, but yeah, so let's talk about some of when we use that word, be your own boss. I think there's like this connotation that happens. A lot of people start thinking like, oh, you're so lucky you get to set your schedule. You could like totally travel and go wherever you want, like all the time. Like, and you could go and work at the beach if you want to. Where that is the case, that is true. We could do that. That's not oftentimes the reality. I think people, because of social media, and it's social media's fault, because of social media, I think that you see all these coaches or influencers that are like, they're like sitting on the beach and they're like, oh, hey, oh, sorry. I was just,
you interrupted me making passive income. Oh, look, I just made some more passive income.
Hold on, let me show you where I'm at. Let me show you where I'm at really quick. And then they pan. It's like, oh, it's the beach. Yeah, you could be me. So I think because you have those people, they talk about the glitz and the glam, and there's not this what it's actually like. Like what are the actual things that are happening like behind the scenes that most people don't see. Like the challenges, how to manage your time, like the peaks and valleys that you're going to go through with work. And then there's ebbs and flows of income and finding clients, keeping clients, all those things kind of go into a bucket of what it means to be your own boss that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
And so like today we're going to kind of pull back the curtains.
Yeah. So like, could you be your own boss? Yes, you can be your own boss. Can you Work from the beach. Yeah, sure. But that's such a minority thing within the freelancing hustle world. It's like a dream. It's like a dream that people sell, and the people selling it are the people sitting on the beach.
Right.
And I don't want to. I feel like I got like guns triggered at me now because we're saying this, but I mean it's valid, it's facts. But you can live a better life as a freelancer, as a business owner, being self-employed, hustling. You can live a better life because if you are successful, it will afford you freedoms that you didn't have before. So for like me, one of the biggest things of running my own business, one of the biggest perks is having the ability to, like yesterday, I just sat down for lunch. I finished it pretty quick. My wife was like, "Hey, do you want to come with me to pick up our daughter from school?" I was like, "Sure. I don't have to be back for another 20 minutes. Let's go." I could never do that before. I was 30 minutes away just to sit in the office, and if you and I wanted to pack up and, go on a group family vacation for a week, we could do that and still run the business while we were away. Oh, wait, we did that last year.
That's right.
And so like, there's things that you can do. It affords you other freedoms that you can move, like because you're not beholden to working for a company or making sure that you save your PTO so you can dole it out in certain times and, things like that.
That right there is probably the biggest perk is, or saying like before I would work out, when I was doing my workouts, I would have to get up like extremely early just to get the workout in before I get to go into the office. Or I would spend my lunch break working out in a parking garage. I would take all my stuff in the car and I would change in the car, and I would find there was one level of this parking garage that was completely empty. So like it was shaded. So we live in hot Atlanta. No one says that, by the way. In Georgia, we live in Georgia, and it does get very hot in the summer. And so I work out in the shade. So, but the point I'm getting to is like, now I don't have to do that. So like I have the capability to be flexible in my schedule. I take a morning walk to get my brain going. Honestly, that's the time where when I get back to my desk, when I go for those walks and I go for one in the afternoon, those walks help me to think through some ideas, process them. And then oftentimes when I get back, I'm either listen to a podcast or an audiobook, and I come back and I'm like, man, that gave me an idea, and I sit down and I can flesh that out. I've worked in office buildings before, and Jason, you have too, where that wasn't the case. Like there was a time where I went for a walk, and I would do walks regularly, and it started to become a problem. They were like, "You can't go and walk for 5 minutes." I'm like, I can't go outside just to like get some fresh air. Like, I don't know if you know.
I mean, that wasn't a problem for me, but I know you had a different office culture than I did. I think
there's like, I don't know if you noticed, but there's no windows in this space. You have a bunch of creatives who are not in an environment where there's any windows. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I thought it was a bad thing. Some of my coworkers were like, "No, it's probably a good thing. We get distracted," but I don't think so. But yeah, there are perks, but again, there's challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges that me and you have faced, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs who have kids are going to connect with this, is before, when you got off work, you had decompression time in your car. And so to make the mental switch from work mode to family mode was really simple. It was easy. It was like you got home and you were ready to go. It was, I have had time to, oftentimes I was in the car for an hour on the way home. So like, yes, I'm driving. Yes, I'm not sitting back and relaxing, but at the same time, my mental capacity is going down. Right. So now I can focus when I get home. Having the time management where you turn off your phone or put your phone to the side. I'm really bad about that. And my wife gets onto me for that. And rightfully so. I mean, oftentimes I will have my phone with me and just carrying it around. And an email will pop in, or a phone call will come in, or a text message will come in for work, and I'll take it when it's supposed to be family time. And I think that's a really hard one.
Yeah. Before I had like a half an hour commute for my last position that I was at before we started the company. And, oftentimes I would just no audio, no book on tape. That was usually like more like my morning routine. But coming home, I would often just turn everything off and I would just sit in my thoughts, think about the day, think about things I've got coming up. At that time, Market House was our side hustle. And so that was the time to think about like, okay, well, what do we got coming up? Do we have clients coming up? What do we have going on? I know we got this project coming up next month. Like, what do we need to work through? And it was like a time to just get all my thoughts out and just, and now my commute is about 20 seconds walking down the stairs. And it's hard. It's hard to make that shift from like constantly thinking about everything that it takes to run a business and do a podcast and have a side hustle as well with my t-shirts. And it's like, there's a lot of things going on and 20 seconds is not quite enough. And so I feel like sometimes I get downstairs to play with the kids and see my wife and, eat dinner soon after. It's like, there's not enough time for me to switch. And so it's sometimes it feels like it's too much. So I don't know, maybe I'm like, I need to stop about 10 minutes before the end of my day, because I usually just run down to the end. Like if it's like, if it's okay, it's time to leave, it's time to shut it down. I don't shut down early enough. And I think that's a problem when you're running your own, show, because it's all on you. And so you just like, okay, I've got this much time left. I need to do this. What can I get done? Because it's all on me. And I think maybe we should start cutting it like 10, 15 minutes early and just using that time to close down the tabs figuratively and, mentally. Literally. It's like, let me close down tabs on my computer. Let me close down tabs on my brain. Like, what am I still thinking about that I can get out of there? Let me, mute my phone. Let me just put it on the charger here in the office and go downstairs, and just, and just end for the day. And yeah, you're right. It's turning off is a really, really difficult thing when you go from, freelancer side hustle with a full-time to moving into that job just full-time as your hustle. That's a really difficult transition. It's really difficult.
Yeah, that same thing with vacation. Like we jokingly talked about, look at me, I'm working from the beach. A lot of times that happens. Like when we did do a family vacation last year where your family and my family, we all went away for, gosh, it was not quite a week. It was close to, it was like 4.
It was almost a week. Yeah.
Yeah. And things still ran. Things were fine. It was, it was hard to take the mental switch off, because when you got back, you knew you had loads of stuff to do, but that's the same thing with regular 9 to 5. You come back, every time you take time off, when you come back, there's always a stack of things that backed up behind that you need to get caught back up on. But the income is solely on you. So you taking a week off means that whole week there was no income coming in. So a regular 9 to 5 job, you still have people back in the office still working, that money's still churning through. That some cases that's the case. I mean, we've been blessed enough to know that we have income still happening, right? So it's still coming in the door. So it's nice to know that we're not, when we take vacation, we're not dead in the water.
Right.
And we usually plan those out. But that's something you have to think about when you are an entrepreneur and you are a business owner or your own boss. And let's go back really quick, because when we say you're your own boss, you're not really your own boss. All your clients are your boss at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't have one boss anymore like you used to. You have a bunch of bosses who are now asking things of you.
Who can sometimes be a little bit more frustrating than working with your own boss, because,
It is because there's a lot more personalities you have to juggle.
Right. Working as an employee of a company, there's a buffer between you and the client, typically, unless you're a customer service position, but there's usually a buffer and you're just doing work, right? You're just just go in, you perform a task and you leave. When you're your own boss, you're the customer service agent, you are the salesperson, you're the account manager, you're the accountant, you're your own HR. Like, when it's all on you, you perform all the roles at once. So just something else to chew on when you're thinking about being a boss.
But we're talking about some of the negative things, and that's kind of the focus. But there's a lot of perks. There's a lot of benefits to it. I mean, for one, you never have to go and ask for another raise. If you want to make more money, just go out and make more money.
Boom.
Which is always nice. Right. So it's like, I mean, but am I wrong? No. You know what I mean? You've been in those situations, and everybody can relate to this, where they feel like they're underpaid and they feel like, I can't do anything. I literally can do nothing about it. I can go and talk to my boss about it, but then it makes me look like it could make me like I'm being greedy. It can make me look like I'm not happy. And now I'm going to go try to find another job. And so then maybe they're going to start trying to find someone to replace me, who could do my job cheaper. And so there's this constant fear that happens. But with being your own boss, that major perk is, well, you know what? There's a bill I need to clear up. There's something that hit that I didn't expect. So I need to go and try to find this extra money, and make it up this month to cover that bill. So there is the added benefit.
What about, I think for me, one of the biggest perks, I guess, of being your own boss is the decision making. So,
yes,
even though we were both like directors in fields before we started, this full time, you still have to pitch an idea. You still have to get approval for an idea. And the time that it takes to have the idea, flesh it out, go and present it, get approval for it, ask for budget for it. And then it's like, it takes forever to like get things. And that's even if you do get approval, or if you do get an audience to even talk about what it is you want to do. And it can take a long time, and it can be frustrating process. When you are your own boss, you take full ownership of everything, right? So you take ownership of your ideas, you take ownership of the things that the wins, like your ideas that win. And then you also take full ownership of your losses too. So like for me, I would rather take total ownership of being super successful or just bombing out completely, rather than, have to still go and be like, hey, I've got this really good idea. So do you want to listen to me for a minute?
Can I tell you my good idea? Oh, you hate it. And they're just like,
yeah, they're just shooting it down like Duck Hunt. They're just Duck Hunt. They're just on the screen.
Yeah. And they're like that annoying dog that pops up. It's like,
that dog. Okay. Yes, that's what it's.
And then you're shooting the dog. At that point, you're like, I hate you.
We had the same childhood.
Yep. Yeah, but I agree with you. At the same time, you still have to pitch ideas to clients, and you still have to do all those things.
Right.
We've been very blessed and lucky to have some incredible clients that it doesn't take a lot of convincing. We say, hey, we've got this really good idea, and here's what we're going to do. We've fleshed it out.
Yeah.
And they say, I love it. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we get right to work, and it's not like you said, like a democratic way of going back, like this government structure, I guess you could call it, in a regular office, where you have to go through these certain procedures, and they got to weigh the budget. Okay, then the board's got to vote on it, or your supervisor's got to talk and meet to see if they can do it. What is the budget they can actually get approved? And it's like, oh my goodness. Okay. forget it. I don't even remember what the idea is anymore. Like, I don't even, you've literally sucked all the value of my idea out of it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Can we just talk about how much joy there is in being able to take total ownership of your ideas, like, and just be like, hey, this is my idea, let's do it. And then when you are working with the client as a, whether you're just self-employed, like a freelancer working solo, or you have like a small team like us, when a customer, because we just talked about, there's far less barrier when you are self-employed or have a small business. There's less of a barrier. So it is the most amazing feeling when a customer buys into the idea because they're buying you. Like you've sold them on yourself and what you are pitching, and they're like, yeah, we like that. And you're like, oh, they like me. They
really like me.
Yeah, now pay me. But still, it's a great feeling. It is an amazing feeling. And that's one of the great things about 100%. Being an entrepreneur, is because when you get to take ownership of all parts of the process, those wins are much more visceral. Like you could feel them deeply because you're so close to the source. It's not like you hit a win as a company and the client tells the owner, and then the owner tells your boss, and then your boss is like, mentions it at the end of the meeting. It's like, oh, hey guys, great work on that last job. The client's super happy. You're like, huh, they are? And you're just like, okay, that's it. But like, when it's all you and your own team, man, it's the best. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. It's more gratifying, I feel like.
Yeah.
Now let's go into, because there's oftentimes, especially with startups, there's this ebb and flow of cash flow. Ebb and flow of cash flow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that works.
Ebb and flow of funds.
Feast or famine. You hear that phrase a lot with entrepreneurs. It's feast or famine.
Peaks and valleys.
It's factual. It's a factual thing. Like we've experienced ourselves where we take care of our employees first, and then whatever's left, and then like especially when money is tight, and you're like, okay, well, this month was not a great month. So we're not taking very much of a paycheck, or if any. I think there has been a couple of months where we haven't taken a paycheck, just because there wasn't any.
I think that's something that small business owners will feel very deeply right there. I know that I've talked to several business owners over the last umpteen years who are like, you know what, I'm taking care of my employees, and as long as they're taken care of, I'm good. Like, I can get by for a while, but I know that they depend on this, so I make sure that it happens no matter what. And when you are a freelancer and it's just you, it's a little bit different, because it's, I guess, a little less stressful, maybe because it's just you, but maybe it's not, because you don't have like a team to be like, guys, listen, we're gonna push through this. We're gonna do it together. Maybe it's a little bit more isolating because you're alone, but the peaks and the valleys, the feast and the famine, the mountains and the troughs, and the waves and the troughs, it's all very real, and it happens. But there are things you can do as a freelancer and an entrepreneur and a hustler to help combat that. So one of the biggest things that freelancers and business owners deal with, where you get into this whole peak and valley season, is that you stop selling. And so it's really easy to like be working on it. You land a big deal, right? You land something that's going to carry you for several months. And then you put all of your time and energy into making that happen, and to making that customer happy. And so you can get paid and finish the project and all that stuff. But then you're like, oh shoot. Okay. So this paid the bill for several months, but also I've got no prospects on the horizon. What did I do to myself? That's a really easy thing to happen. So
very normal.
Keep prospecting, keep reaching out, do soft touches through email or a phone call. Just make it a point to not fall head deep into a project and lose sight of the end game, which is to always be, selling yourself and your product, so.
Yeah. And I feel like another way to look at that is if you're in that situation, try to make connections, network with somebody else who has like a recurring supply of the ideal client for you, and working out and negotiating something with them of saying, listen, I have this service that I think would benefit your customers, your clients. Could we work something out? And then that they just keep feeding you leads. That's like the best case scenario or best situation you can get in. And then just go and find another person like that just continue to feed that to you over and over. That kind of brings like a bit of a sigh of relief, some comfort knowing, okay, I can take on this big project knowing these other things are still happening. And I'm not going to get into a situation where I've spent all of my energy on this one project, all of my time on this one project that I have nothing on the horizon. So, and that also kind of takes care of like, finding those clients on a consistent basis. It's already there. It's already built in place. I think that there's so many times, I remember, I think we've talked about it on the show. We've had this conversation before where some of our some people that I've had conversations with have said, well, you just have all the time in the world. You can just, that's great that you can go and do that because you can just go whenever you want to. And it's like, that misconception kills me because like, that couldn't be further from the truth. You know what I mean? It couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, we have time. Like this morning, I did need to take the car to the mechanic so we can get some work done on the car. But I took my stuff with me and I sat and worked while I was getting done. Like, cause we have things to do. Like I do have the luxury to go and do things during the week when I need to, but I also am still working, whether it's if I have my laptop or my iPad, I can still get stuff done on my phone and I'm still doing things that I need to get done. Whereas most people, like when you work a 9 to 5, you just go and you've had the day off. So most of the time you're not working on anything. So yes, that is true. You do have, as an entrepreneur, you do have, or business owner, you do have that capability. You have that flexibility, but
true. And, and one last tie-in to the whole theme of our podcast and what we do is hustle culture. And we talk about culture a lot.
Yes.
And one of the first conversations I feel like we had when we decided to start our company was, what's it going to be like? Like, what are we going to be? What kind of company are we going to be? What kind of culture are we going to promote? What kind of things are we going to do to establish ourselves internally? Like, are we going to be driven to this? Like, what are we going to be? And I think that's one of the more exciting things about being an entrepreneur is that you get to totally define that. Like, what's my company going to be? Like, do we have aspirations to be 100 or more employees, or do we have aspirations to be, a team of 3 or a team of 10 to 20? Like, what are we going to be? What are we going to be like? How are we going to interact with each other? Like, what's our dress code going to be like? You got to think about all of these things. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, that's super exciting. Like, that's something that they love,
Yeah, I think, well, and with talking about our particular culture, we've talked about it so many different times that it's changed so many different times. Like, I remember Jason saying, because I remember saying, man, I can't wait to have, like, Market has to be our full thing. I'm going to wear like shorts and a hat. And he's like, no hats ever. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
No shorts ever.
I can be a bit much. Can be needed.
No, but it's changed. But what's else I'm saying? Like, it's changed because now it's like I'm wearing a hoodie and shorts, and I did have a hat on just a little while ago because I need a haircut. But yeah, I had a hat on.
And shorts. Yeah.
but if we do work remotely, just just for the sheer fact that we can, and saves on overhead. It's in a lot of ways it's a no-brainer. But there may be a time where we do have to have an office space that we will need to set some kind of ground rules and what that looks like. And to your point, as an entrepreneur, you have that flexibility and that benefit to set the culture you want.
Yeah. I think maybe we just do only hats. Not only hats.
Oh, whoa. No, that is not the culture that I want to create.
Hi,
good luck convincing your wife for that.
Not yeah, just hat. Like you have to wear a hat, like mandatory hats. That's the word. Not only hats, mandatory hats. Like everyone has to wear a hat in addition to clothing.
Okay, yeah.
But depending on your entrepreneurial style, maybe that's the kind of company you want to promote.
Maybe you work for a nudist colony, and that's the thing.
But you have to wear. You have to wear a hat. Hats only. Hats only. You got to protect. You got to protect your nose and this upper skin up here
from your scalp,
from the sun.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't want the skin cancer. Got to protect. Forget the other bits.
Got to protect the dome.
Okay. Please wrap this. Please wrap. I've dug myself into a deep hole.
Well, again, thank you for listening today to us ramble and rant. You can find us all on social media. Subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things. Share it with your friends. If you have an entrepreneur in your family, or you have a friend that's an entrepreneur, share this podcast with them. We are building a network and a community of people. I shouldn't say network. That's the wrong word because we talked about that already. We're building a community, and we want you guys to be a part of it. We don't just to be the Jason and Zach community. We believe that as entrepreneurs, we are all that hustle machine, and we want to do this together, link arms together. So
agreed. So go to Facebook, type in Hustle Machine, find our group, join.
Yes. Until next time. Later.
Latest, guys.